Hi everybody, thought today I'd go over a really killer, unique series of games known as Submachine video games. I got introduced to these one night when someone posted on the internet about some game on some website and checked it out. I think it was okay, I went through a few games of it, or they just flat out sucked. And so I was like, well, what else is on here? So I'm going through game after game after game, and there's all these Pac-Man rehashes that sucked. It's like, why is this even here? It doesn't even do anything for the game. I mean, there's nothing new to it. And, oh, look, there's a clone of, whatever, insert some other 80s game. Oh, that one sucks. Or, play another one. Oh, this is nothing. Huh. Some games with some nudity in them. I'm not going to play any of these. Or I'm not going to play it. I mean, there's just one, Well, anyway, so I'm going through all these crappy games and they all suck. And what the hey, I was bored. And finally, the name of Submachine sounded promising, so I checked it out. And wow, got into all of them. And well, let's go through them all, shall we? Basically, Submachines are point and click, escape from the room or escape from the place kind of puzzle games. There's not much to say about the first one, actually. There's just only very few rooms and very few objects, and just try to figure out what to do with certain objects in order to open up new areas of the puzzle and find 4 tiles that will get you out of the game. Control's perfect with all the Submachine games as long as your mouse works. I mean, that's all you do, just click on the mouse. I like the way the graphics are drawn. They're cartoonish, but not in a cheesy way. They're all pretty crisp and clear. Sounds are neat and a lot of spooky atmosphere in the place. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. Then there's the Submachine extended version, which is exactly the same as the first, just with the items are in different places in different areas of the rooms. There's new rooms, there's a few new items, a few new places. What the hell is that thing? And there's a new secret or two. There's also this one thing that if you do incorrectly, you're not going to be able to win the game, which I thought was kind of wrong, but if you get used to the first one, you know where everything is, and it won't take too long to restart and have to retrace your steps. And it's kind of hard to rate this one. I mean, you've already got the first one that you went through. Not a whole lot was done with it. I guess I'd give it about a 9.5 out of 10, though. I thought the ending on the first one was kind of nice, and here you've got a choice of 2 doors at the end, and one of them shows what would be the first sequel of Submachine 2, and there's also a hint of that also in the game as well. Then, speaking of which, Submachine 2, as the intro says, what, was the first one a game? Or it says, talks about not waking up from a dream. What, this is all a dream? Well, what's going on? Well, anyway, it shows the Submachine video game at the start of it. It doesn't do anything no matter what you do with it. This one's a lot bigger. I think there's over 4 times as many rooms as on the first one. So you're in a mysterious lighthouse, which has some had kind of a bad origin to it. I didn't really think about the first one as being strange at all. I mean, I don't know why certain objects would do things, but this is right off the bat just the first sequel of Submachine. Things are getting very weird indeed. There's a hint of a bizarre sci-fi premise in the beginning with this page of a diary you found about a guy who lost one of his arms during a trip. Yeah, that put a bit of a dampener on your day. But he somehow grew this 3rd invisible arm. Say what? So things get even more strange when that story is expanded upon. It goes to this lighthouse. There's something about it finding letters of this that are addressed to some person named Liz, as well as him creating a portal and afraid he's going to be buried alive in the lighthouse. Say what? And of course the game is strange too. You're crawling through all kinds of locations in the lighthouse on various floors and encountering various machines and solving puzzles and crawling through a sewer line. Pretty tough game. I thought some of the puzzles were kind of a bit unfair. I mean, we're talking very minute details. I mean, you really got to look at some of these things. First, I was disappointed with the way the game looked. I mean, I was used to the crisp, clear graphics on the first one. These are all hand-drawn, and I got used to them after a while. I mean, I went through the earliest game systems of the blocking Microvision and the Atari 2600. I mean, graphics aren't bad, and they add to the spooky atmosphere and all. It just threw me off a bit. Anyway, I give the game a 9 out of 10. A little bit disappointed in the ending at first, but kind of liked it a bit more after going through it a few more times. Shows some real footage of someone walking along with that also happened during another part of the game, which I thought was kind of a neat touch to it. So that propels us to Submachine 3, the loop, which threw just about all gamers for a loop. Sorry, you knew that was coming, didn't you? It's called the loop because you keep on going in any one direction. You'll keep on going infinitely through all these halls, and I'll just go back to 0, 0, and well, you'll be okay then. Again, things just get really strange here because you get almost no inventory at all to pick up. In promos for this game, it says it's just you versus the machine itself. Well, how come there's all these endless corridors? Is this a video game again, or is this in your head, or I mean, what the hell? So here, rather than going through any kind of a story or anything, you're just solving puzzles of all kinds. And within only a couple levels, I had to consult a freaking walkthrough. I just couldn't figure a couple of these out, although one thing that's strange is after I got through a couple of the early ones, I didn't need the walkthrough for the whole rest of the game. And it started getting fun again as I was going through the later levels and all. I mean, that's the one thing about the Submachine games. You start feeling good about being able to solve things and getting further into the game. It's like, oh, look, this opened up this, and wait, what the hell do I do with that now? I like the way a lot of the machines were drawn and stuff like that. And I can't quite give this a 7 out of 10. Give it like a 6.8. It's just that some of the stuff in the beginning was just too hard, yet everything after that was easier. So again, the ending is just really weird. I mean, part of it was cool, but I mean, well, I don't want to give it away, but you got to find something and bring it to something else. I mean, why would this propel you to another level? I mean, it just made no sense whatsoever. And this is only the Submachine games that are out right now where you could actually die at the end if you choose the wrong thing to do. I mean, that's no big deal. You got the password, so you could just start over at that level, but still, just point that out. And so that propels us to Submachine 4, the lab. I don't know why these hints are at the beginning here. I mean, if you don't know how it works by now, because you really should start at the beginning and go from there as the story builds up and all. It's disappointing with this one for a while because, I mean, there's this really cool promo, which, yeah, that seemed to occur until almost the very end. And this is supposed to be a lab. I thought there'd be all kinds of cool equipment like that. And no, you're just really in a house. I mean, well, big deal. Putting menial stuff together and trying to figure out these puzzles. Then you get to the portal. That's when the game starts taking off because you start going to familiar stuff like the loop again. It looks a little bit different this time, and you know, those are weird. Couldn't figure out what to do with them for a while. Looked like you could pop them with your knife, but you can't. Oh yeah, this time around you get a couple items that you can use over and over. You know, knife and the hammer, good for several things each. Go back to the lighthouse section again. Yeah, red area should look pretty familiar. Then getting back to the basement. This is where you're going, wow, what's going on here? Because there's all these holes in the walls and all these bizarre machines. And as part of the promo says, you have to ask yourself, you know, are you too late? You also, for once, get to communicate with an actual person on here. Yeah, should you answer that question or not? This is where the game really starts shining because you finally get a bit of a story again where it turns out these experiments have been going on for decades and there's these notes being left behind. There's people exploring other sections. Yet you've never seen a single person in any of these games at all. It's got some new sections too, like some kind of a bizarre ship. I don't know why they were talking about blowing it up in one of the notes that you find. A couple you might have seen before, like the Ancient section, because there's a Submachine Zero, the Ancient Adventure, where it's not a part of the regular Submachines storyline. So, you know, that part was familiar to me because I'd gone through Zero before I'd gone through this game, so it looked familiar. And there's also a couple new tomb rooms. Puzzles in this one's pretty hard. Got some familiar elements like the tiles again, stuff like that. The Seekers actually do something this time around. Supposedly Seeker and Submachine 2, they don't do anything. But here, I'd really recommend looking them up and checking out the Seekers room. It's in regards to some of the influences that had on the designers who's making the game. It's worth looking up because chances are most of y'all are going to need a walkthrough for this anyway. So yeah, I'd do that and check them out. Give this a 9 out of 10 again. Again, a bit of a crappy ending, and the ending part is really strange. I don't know what this thing has to do with ending the game. I'm not going to give it away, but I'm just sitting here going, why? Why would that end everything?